Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us on the Activate and Illuminate podcast with Mel. I'm your host, Mel. Together, we're going to be diving into some stories of ordinary people doing a little bit of extraordinary things. People who've maybe pushed their bodies, their mindsets, or maybe society's paradigms. So you're going to find yourself maybe wanting to laugh, cry, or even be inspired. We would invite you to share, like, and subscribe, to sign up for our newsletter as well on activateandilluminate.com. Now, just keep in mind that this information that you are going to hear is informational and educational for entertainment purposes only. This does not constitute professional advice of any kind. The views expressed are those of myself and guests only. Listeners are encouraged to seek professional and legal advice regarding their own situations. So, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time, and thanks again for being here. Hi again. Thanks for being here. So today I am speaking with a gentleman named Tommy Carbasho, and we're just going to have a casual conversation about quite a few things. He has a podcast called Forbidden Chronicles, and you're going to hear about some of that, some of his guests, where you can find that, and also about his journey as a health coach and just some of the things that he finds value in and some exciting stuff he has coming up. So tune in. Hi, guys. So today we are here with Tommy Carbasho. Now, Tommy is a podcast host. He's a health coach. You're going to love listening to Tommy, and he's going to share with us some of his own personal story and just maybe some of his thoughts of the world right now. He has a fascinating podcast called Forbidden Chronicles, in which he talks about all kinds of stuff. He's also got his own health story. And Tommy, just maybe share a little bit about what you're doing right now and what excites you and what lights you up, and then we'll go from there.
Well, so right now I'm trying to spread a little bit of awareness about nutrition for kids, because I see a lot of people going to the soccer games, coming home, and they're running through the drive-thru, getting their kids fast food, and it's just terrible nutrition for your children. And as adults, our children rely on us to make good decisions for them. So I just kind of want to spread a little bit of awareness to people about making healthier choices for your kids, and maybe prepackage this stuff on your way before you go to the soccer game. So when you get done and your kids are starving to death, they have a little bit of something they can eat that's healthy before they get home, and just make them some good meals instead of the drive-through, instead of a bag of chips and a Coke, or all the fun things that kids like to eat. And also for people that are struggling with any kind of problem like addiction or trying to overcome an injury, which I have done myself. So I know that's especially injuries, and you're trying to work through things, and you're in a lot of pain, and it can be very difficult, and it can cause depression and all sorts of problems. So I just want to let people know that there's help out there no matter what you're going through. There's somebody that can help you out and help you get through those problems.
And so how long have you been doing this for, Tommy?
So I got out of it for a while. First started about 15 years ago. I did school for holistic nutrition, and I did that because I got very sick myself, and the doctors couldn't figure it out. They diagnosed me with a bunch of stomach problems. But I was sick every day for months, 3 to 4 months, just sick every single day. And they couldn't tell me why I was sick. So I did the holistic nutrition school to figure out myself why I was sick. And it ended up, I'm not sure what it was. I started eating super clean. They teach you how to cook in the school. So I was cooking all these healthy meals, and I just got better on my own with no medicine. And I tried a lot of these diets on my own. I tried vegan, vegetarian, paleo, keto. When I was going through learning these diets, I would go on this diet for 30 days and see how it made me feel. So I'm not sure what helped my stomach, but something did. And I've just tried to eat clean ever since. And I kind of got out of the health coaching. I just got super busy at work. I was still working at the time and I was working 60, 70 hours a week. So I just kind of gave it up. But now I'm diving back into that and trying to help some people because I know there's a lot of people out there with they're going to the doctor. I have family members that are doing it. They're going to the doctor 2, 3 times a week trying to figure out what's wrong with them. And as we know, doctors only get 2 to 3 hours out of 10 years of training in nutrition. So not their fault, but they really don't know nutrition like someone that studies nutrition. So, it can be very frustrating for sure.
Yeah. Um, so tell us about this podcast that you have, Forbidden Chronicles. What kind of people do you talk to? What kind of stories do you share about? And yeah, just tell us about it.
Forbidden Chronicles is about everything. It's about everything esoteric, health. I had the owner of a superfood company on yesterday from Australia. A couple of weeks ago, I had a medium on talking about the history of psychics. And, we talked about a lot of things about kings having seers to interpret their dreams and all that going back thousands of years. So it's just a little bit about everything esoteric, food, because health food is kind of a forbidden chronicle now, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's about a little bit of everything. It's about whatever we want to talk about.
This episode brought to you by protandemcanada.lifevantagE.com. What if you could turn on your body to work like it was supposed to? What if you could have it remember how to handle toxins, stress, and the environment like it used to when you were young? What if it worked for your pets too? What if this is not about supplementing something that is missing, but activating something that has gone dormant? About actually turning on your body to make these things again. Learn how to activate your body now. Check us out, protandemcanada.lifevantage.com.
If you had to think of one of your guests that had the most fascinating story, is there any that come to mind?
Yeah, the medium, because he started having this gift when he was, 18, 19 years old, and he told me an incredible story about he was working at a fire department and he knew 2 different guys out of the town. One of the guys he had talked to earlier in the day, and he said he got a horrid smell like something dead around this guy, and he didn't say anything. And then he saw the other guy, and they were mutual friends. He saw him later in the day and got the same smell off of this guy. And he asked his friend that they were hanging out with when he left, he's like, "Man, did you smell that? Like there's a terrible, terrible smell, like something like a dead animal." And the guy's like, "I didn't smell anything, man." And later that night, those 2 guys that he got that smell from were in a head-on collision with each other and both got killed. So, and this is kind of before he understood what kind of gift he had. So, yeah, that was probably the most fascinating story I've ever heard for sure.
Well, yeah, that's crazy.
So, and he has learned now, he's in his 50s now, so he has learned there's all these different smells that he gets off of people that mean certain things, so yeah, very, very fascinating, and he's a super guy. I mean, we've been friends for probably 6 months, he helped me set up my podcast and everything, so I know the guy, and I know it sounds like a crazy story, but I believe the guy. I don't have any reason to believe that it's not true.
What made you want to start sharing stories that might be a little out there and kind of maybe go against people's present day awareness?
I think I've always been fascinated with those stories. I grew up in an old farmhouse that was built. We don't really know when the original one was built. There's not very good records here where I'm at, but we know it had been burned down at least a couple of times and rebuilt, and probably early 1800s maybe. the first people, late 1700s, the first house was built there. And there was a lot of weird things that would go on there. Things would come up missing. And it was just a very, very eerie place. I hated it growing up. I hated being there. I always felt like there was somebody there with me, somebody watching me, or so maybe that got me into looking at all this different stuff, different things that other people don't talk about. We've always talked about it.
Yeah. Did you
Mm.
always feel like could you feel some of these other influences? Could you feel that young?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And there was just a lot of strange things happening there. People would come up missing, or things would come up missing, and then everybody would say, everyone would see it in a certain place, and then it would end up in a different place, and things would fall off the wall. Pictures would just fall off the wall, and you would see shadows at night. It was just a very, very spooky place. So I've always been open to ghosts, and the older I got and the more I got into different things, I started learning about different dimensions and all that. So yeah, I'm open to, I don't discount anything. Until I see it, like Bigfoot and aliens and dragons, I put them all in the same category, and I've done a bunch of research on them, and until there's evidence, I'd love to believe it, but man, there's just no hardcore evidence for it. But we love to talk about all those things.
I'm a little different. I feel like people always wait for the I feel like there's so much that I don't know that I know is true. I don't actually need the evidence. I'm open to the possibility that there is so much. I feel like most things in our awareness probably on one plane of existence are true, whether or not it's our plane of existence or not. I feel like there wouldn't be all these dragons and all this folklore about all these different things if somewhere it hasn't been true. That's my thought.
Absolutely. And I'm the same way. As like Bigfoot, for example, all the Native American cultures and then other countries' ancient cultures, they all have a different name for this thing that was Bigfoot, Sasquatch and the Yeti. And there's all these different names that ancient cultures had for it. So there had to be something. Dragons, too, there's story after story about knights slaying the dragons and the dragons tearing the castles down and all these things. But I don't know, the more I investigate these things, the more confused I get about them. And I do, I want to believe them. And I mean, I have a dragon on my shelf back here, so
Okay.
a couple of them. So yeah, I love that stuff, and I'd love to find evidence for it one day.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's so much stuff we don't know that is just absolutely fascinating. So you actually do recordings for a channel called Gnostic TV?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that just so that people know where to look for some of your stuff.
So Gnostic TV is kind of like Gaia TV, I would say. So it's uncensored. It's a lot of esoteric things on there that you won't find in other places, on mainstream and the owners have kept it uncensored, and they're very, very supportive, and anything you want to put on there that's, not vulgar or damaging to anybody, of course. But they're super, super good people with very good support, and it's a great network. It really is. You can go on there and find, geez, I don't know how many they're up to now, podcasters, maybe 400 or something.
Wow.
So, and they have it in categories of, quantum and mediums, and you can go on and pick your category and watch all kinds of cool stuff.
Wow. Okay. Well, I've just got into looking at it. I hadn't seen it too much when you shared some of your stuff with me, so I'm definitely going to check that out. So tell us a little bit more about what we were talking about, just this, what people are going through now and some of their health challenges and different things. And I know you have a health coaching business called Soul GPS. And you also have some supplements and different things that you promote that help people. But what type of people can you help?
I would say right now, our Generation X, we've been through a lot and we were used to eating decent food. And now we're eating this food that has all these chemicals in it. And we're feeling a little tired probably. And our bones are getting sore. And a lot of people just don't know why. And there's a lot of things we can do, small changes you can do in your diet to get those aches and pains to be better and get your mind to be a little clearer. I know how difficult it is, especially if you have an injury, to just kind of slip into that depression and sit around drinking Coke and eating Cheetos and, to make yourself feel better at the time. But then, man, the inflammation is the cause of just about everything that can go wrong with you. If you get a hold of your inflammation and need an anti-inflammation diet, then it'll definitely make you feel better all over, mentally and physically.
So tell us, in your perspective and in your experience, what is an anti-inflammation diet or an anti-inflammatory diet?
So that's eating things like blueberries, salmon. I have a whole list of them that you can go through and just kind of snack on these things. Snack on your blueberries or cashews and eat a healthy meal of some salmon with a salad and just kind of staying away from processed foods is the most important thing. The processed foods, anything out of a box or, lunch meat, all that stuff is just ultra processed and just really, really terrible for your system. Our system just doesn't know what to do with it because it's not a real food. So it's kind of puts you in shock when you eat those things.
What's your perspective? Do you think our food system has been hijacked?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a slow and it's crept up on us to the point that now it's too late to fight it. It's here. So now we have to do our own work and eat those foods that don't have, I call it poison because it's poison. But there's so many chemicals in the food today that it's literally like just eating a toxic blend of whatever they've thrown in there, fillers and preservatives. And so that's why I think it's especially important for kids because once again, they're relying on us to make good decisions for them. So if we're giving them these foods, then they're not going to have good habits when they get to an adult. They're going to continue eating those crappy foods.
What do you think is happening? Like, I know you're in the US, I'm in Canada. What do you think is happening in the last little bit here with the Make America Healthy Again movement? Do you feel like, on average, more people do you think that there's being an actual shift on the ground and that there's more awareness to what has actually been happening? Or how does it feel there for you right now?
Yeah, I think there is. I think there really is an awakening of not only the nutrition, but everything. People are becoming entrepreneurs more and getting out of the cubicle. And, that was another thing behind Forbidden Chronicles because from the time we're kids, we're told to shut up, sit down, be quiet, you know, memorize all these states and presidents. And, you know, so we've gotten into that routine where you go to school and you memorize all these things and then you get out of school and you get married and you go in debt and you have all this credit card debt and a house debt and a new car debt because you have to have a new car. And there's all these things that we fall into this trap that we really don't need to do. You can really find your passion and do whatever you want to do and not do these things. We're remodeling a camper right now. We're going to go hit the road for a year,
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm going to do the podcast out of my camper. So this is the first anybody's hearing this because I haven't haven't let any of this loose yet. I've been kind of recording some of the stuff as I'm repairing it. We bought an old vintage 1973 camper that I've been remodeling, and I'm doing some little videos showing that process, and then we're just gonna hit the road and we're gonna go wherever we want to go.
Well, that was the year I was born, so what can go wrong? So where are you going? Are you going around the states? Are you going around, the continent? Where are you going? Or do you know yet?
We're probably gonna stay around beachy areas. We both grew up, in the hills here in West Virginia. She did in farmland in Ohio, which I lived over there for a while as well. But we love the beach. We're both just in love with the beach and water, and we keep going more and more. And I said, why aren't we living here? Why aren't we at the beach all the time? Like, we should be at the beach all the time if we want to
Yeah.
be there. So we're going to start probably somewhere, I guess, Maine, maybe. We'll go up north and start there, and hopefully be in warmer climates by wintertime.
Nice. Well, I feel like I don't know about you, but I mean, there was a lot of negative stuff that happened to people, or I mean, call it negative. It was definitely change, but I feel like what the whole last few years and the whole COVID fiasco and all that, what it has done is given people permission to, first of all, do things a little out of the ordinary, maybe jobs that they've were passionate about when they had to try to figure out how to work from home or do these different things. But I know of so many people that have given themselves the permission in the last few years to go traveling and go live their dreams. Do you think anything of the last few years was any part of that decision for you, or has this always been a lifelong goal?
I've always had that thought of just taking off and traveling and just not being in the mainstream office setting. I loved the job that I was doing. I was a production manager for years and I loved it and I was good at it, but it's just it's hard to find somebody to work for that really is going to treat you the way you should be treated. And I think people put up with a lot of things that they shouldn't just because it's a job, and you have a lot of bosses out there with a big ego and it just gets ugly. So I've always had that thought of just being on my own and making my own future. So and I think COVID definitely changed a lot of people because they were cooped up for so long that once it was over and they realized, holy cow, we were cooped up for this long and really for no reason, I believe. But so yeah, I think that did change a lot of people's minds, and now they're wanting to run. They want to go and experience things, and I feel bad for the kids that went through that. We have grandkids that were 9 or 10, I guess, during COVID, so they were stuck in the house, and you know I just think it was probably detrimental to a lot of children that age because they didn't understand why they're stuck in the house and they can't go talk to their friends and run around on the playground. And I think it was a lot of trickery going on there with it.
Yeah, I think the same. I think a lot of these young kids that I saw, anyways, or in my experience, were they were taught these concepts of fear that they should never have had fear about. Like I had a young one ask his mom while we were on the phone, "Am I going to be able to catch the bugs through the phone?"
No,
And it broke my heart because I'm like, oh, just it's a concept that some little one should never have to think about, right?
no, no, I agree. I don't think they should ever have to worry about things like that or decisions that adults should be making. I just think a lot of things could have been different. We could have handled that a lot different than we did.
Yeah, I agree. Tell me how people can find you, the products that you right now are representing, why you're so passionate about using them for children, and, so how we can support you in driving people to some of what you're doing.
Yeah, so probably I really have two products I'm really excited about right now that I've been using. And one is called Purium. So you can find that at ishoppurium.com. And those products, they're all USDA organic, and they're all, we have protein powders, we have joint flex for sore joints, we have something called apothecary that's concentrated a tart cherry drink that you mix with water, and you drink that at night, and that helps you sleep and helps with inflammation while you're sleeping. So that one right there is one of our favorites. All of us take it. My mom loves it. She has trouble sleeping, so I gave her that. She drinks a glass of that at night, like that's her nightcap glass of wine or whatever. So that works really good. And another one that I just started trying was called Life Wave, and it's a patch that you put on that uses phototherapy for well-being. So I just started using that, and we both like it. Me and my wife both like it. It makes us, we're putting in a long day, and at the end of the day, we both talked about it the other night, and I said, man, we got a lot done today, and I don't feel that bad. Like, I'm not as sore as I normally am, and I'm not as tired. And she said, yeah, me too. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to say anything and sound weird because I think we only had him on for 2 days. It was like the second day, but so we're excited about that. We're just getting into it. So, but right now it seems amazing. The Purium I've been doing for probably, I'd say 4 months. So they have their greens drink. They have a apple berry greens drink that gives you. It's like the founding brand partner calls it sunshine in a bag because you get it. It's powdered in a bag, and you make a shake out of it. And he said, "Man, you're drinking sunshine right there." And it just, all the products are incredible. And so even if you're not wanting to change your diet, you can at least get a good shake in, and get your grains and get some fruit in you, without going out and cutting up fruit and vegetables and changing your whole diet. At least drink one of these shakes a day, and it'll make you feel better for sure.
Well, and we will definitely have the links of all your stuff to everything that you're doing. But if you
And if
could,
anyone's interested in that, going on that, the ishoppurium.com, if you use the referral code Forbidden Chronicles, that gives you a big savings on there. They'll get 50% off. I'm sorry, $50 off of $75 first order, or 25% off of a $200 order. So it's a big savings. If you want to try something out, you can try some really good products out for next to nothing if you use that $50 off coupon.
okay, good to know. So, hey, is there any concepts or topics that you have coming up on your show that you're excited about?
Well, I'm talking to a guy right now. We're trying to figure out whose show we're going to do this on, but we're going to talk about the similarities between the Bible and the Anunnaki from the Sumerian clay text. So that's kind of like my passion hobby that I do. I love to research Sumerians and the Anunnaki and anything that has to do with the ancient history. And there's a lot of correlation to those clay tablets that are in the Bible. So that's that one I'm excited about to get on with him and discuss that. Then this guy went to seminary college, so he knows the Bible, and I know the other stuff. So we're going to kind of talk about the similarities of that. So I'm excited about that. I'm a geek, I'm a real geek at heart. I love, weird stuff like that. I don't know. I've always felt like, I always told my family I felt like an alien, that I got adopted by a human family or something, or the wrong family, or I've just always felt different and thought different than my friends and family. So things like that are, I don't know, that just catches my interest immediately.
Yeah, tell us your perspective on that.
So from all the research I've done, I believe that a lot of the Bible is talking about the Anunnaki gods that were in the Sumerian clay tablets. Because when you start reading the Bible, there's a lot of contradictions, especially in the Old Testament, talking about, that's talking about God. But I think a lot of that was talking about the Anunnaki gods and not our real God. And I believe in God and I believe in Jesus, and I consider myself I wouldn't say religious, I call it spiritual or whatever you want to call that. I believe in the universe is kind of alive. We're all kind of the same. We're built out of the same stuff, and you can get downloads from, I believe all the information's out there that's ever been. So once you tap into that frequency that you want to tap into, I think that's when we find our bliss and start succeeding in life and helping people.
Yeah, so to somebody that hasn't heard this term before, how would you describe the Anunnaki, and how would you just describe what you're saying?
So the Anunnaki were the gods that the Sumerians talked about in their clay tablets, that there were two half brothers, Enki and Enlil. And Enki was kind of the peaceful, I guess if you would want to call it Atlantean kind of being that was, all about peace and love, and I would say kind of a Buddha character. And the other brother, Enlil, was the more militant, kind of violent brother. So these are where the contradictions come in to the Bible, I believe, when they're talking about, one scripture is talking about love, and then the very next thing he's telling someone to go, take over the next town. So I just think there's too many contradictions in there to be this all knowing, all loving, all creating God. I just think some of these things that are in our Bible are way too menial for a God that's that big.
So you feel like it's been distorted?
I think it's been way distorted. I think we started writing this stuff down thousands of years. You know how stories get muddled even today. A rumor, in a month is completely different from what it was. So when you're talking about 1,000 years or even 100 years, that story could be completely different from the real truth. So I believe over these hundreds of years, it got muddled to where they didn't know what was the Anunnaki gods and what was talking about the real Bible, and I think it all got mixed together.
Okay. Well, that's going to be a fascinating conversation for you to have.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. It's going to be probably a long one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you want to share here, Tommy? Is there anything else that you want to convey or feel like you can help people with, or is there anything else that you got coming up in the future that you think is exciting? I mean, other than traveling around for a year in a camper, I think that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that channel together now. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it under my YouTube channel or what if I'm going to call it something different. I'm not sure because I want to document some of this stuff as we're traveling around and kind of document the everyday struggles of that as well. It's tight quarters. So
Are you guys nervous going into it?
no, I don't think so. No. We've I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary this week. So
Okay.
it was last week. And we've been together, I guess, about 6 years, but we're very good together.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're kind of like old hippie souls, where we just kind of go with the flow and try to be happy. And so, yeah, I think it'll be good. I think we can spread some of that around and hopefully help other people with nutrition and just well-being, because just being grateful for what you have is such a big difference in your life. If you can try to find gratitude in everything that you have and everything that you're doing, just going for a walk and then living in that moment of taking in some nature and the breeze and the leaves moving, whatever that is, I think it's so important. I think we're missing that today. once again, COVID had us inside for all that time. And I think a lot of people got used to that, and a lot of people got stuck in that. And I know people that don't like the sun. They just, I've had friends that they'd rather sit inside and watch TV than go outside. And I've always been the complete opposite. I want to be outside all day, every day. I want to get every last minute of the sunshine I can get. So I think that's super important in all of our lives too. And at night, even looking up at the stars at night, we've, in history, everybody knew the moon phases, everybody knew the stars, everybody knew what time to plant by the moon and all that. And that's kind of a lost way now where we're not looking up at the stars and the moon. And I think that's important too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I always feel really connected to the sky. I'm always taking pictures of the sunsets and the sunrises, and my family thinks I'm a tad crazy because as soon as I see a little hint of brightness or color out there, I'm running out to take 1,000 pictures every day.
Yeah. We have them too. We were standing out there the other night. There was some cool sky with some really cool clouds in it, and we're out there taking a bunch of pictures. And we don't do anything with them.
Well, thank you so much, Tommy, for coming on and just sharing some of your perspective and your hopes and some of your ideas about where we're at now. In your health coaching business, what's your ideal client? Like I know you mentioned kids, but who are you looking for? Who should be reaching out to you?
I would say our age, Gen X was the best generation ever, of course. So yeah, I think that is the person that I'm looking for that has kind of lost themselves in this new age of technology and chemicals in our food, and they don't quite know what to do with themselves and what to eat and what's safe and what's not. So I can definitely help with that, and it's very small changes in your life that would make a big difference.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you taking your time, and it was great to be connected to you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, all the best to you, Tommy, in your adventure in your trailer or camper, and we're gonna want to hear about it. Maybe we can do a second episode from the road.
I will do that for sure. It's probably going to be ready next week. So
Okay.
it's getting soon. We were down there last night, just sitting in there in the dark talking and, kind of planning out some things. So yeah, it's getting close. We're ready.
Well, it's always inspiring for me to hear people having a little bit of an audacious dream that just go for it, right? So good for you.
That's right. It's scaring my wife a little bit. I have to keep reassuring her we're going to be okay. We'll be fine. It'll
Yeah.
be all right. So, yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Okay.